Welcome to Synced On Air. I'm your host, Angelique Robb, and today I have Duane Draughon from VizX Design Studio. Welcome, Duane. It's great to have you on here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course.
Pretty neat process. Thank you.
Well, we're excited to meet you and learn more about your business. And you and I met earlier this week or last week, and I was like, let's do a podcast because I felt like a lot of the issues that we were talking about are industry-wide issues. And one of the things that we're striving to do at Synced is to talk about these issues, get them out there, and so we can help facilitate solutions. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but as an industry, the more we talk about challenges and things that you're working on in your business, it translates to so many other businesses out there. So love that you are game for joining and
Yeah, thanks
willing
for
to go
having me
live
on.
too.
Let's rip. Thanks for having me here.
Awesome. So why did you get into the industry? Tell us a little bit about how you started the journey in this industry.
I think that's a podcast within itself. You probably a lot of accidents and stumbles and accidents. None of this was my planned destiny at all. Zero. I had no plans to be an outdoor living designer, architect, none of that stuff. That wasn't in my plans at all.
Well,
Zero.
then can
Like I
you
said, we
summarize it
we
in
need a
a,
whole other podcast just on how this all happened. Let's go back to the beginning. I was in high school and I had a study hall, and my buddy walked into the study hall and said, "Hey, Duane, they have this course where you can do architectural engineering drafting." And I said, "Why the hell would I want to do that when I'm in a study hall and I could just chill?" And he said the key things. He said, "Duane, the class is right beside the library, and all the girls from school walk past that door." I said, "I'm in." Okay.
you're going to say free food?
No, it was women. He was all about the women. I'm game. I'm in. Let's do it. Let's rock. And so all we did was stand by the door and get phone numbers all day. Like we rarely did any drafting. At least I thought I wasn't learning, but I must have learned something. But the class was 2 years. It was really neat course because I really didn't learn landscape. I learned engineering and I learned how to draw homes. And
Okay.
if I tell my age, we didn't have CAD then. So everything
Okay.
was drafting table, easel. We had the eraser
E
tools. I used it
squared
in
and
the
the
yeah, yeah,
template.
yeah,
I had
yeah.
that too, saying my age.
We had you had to draw like the isomeric and you had to erase, and it was, it was, when I look back at what the computer software does, it was pretty tough. And I left that, and my father had owned a grass cutting business. So I've been in the lawn care landscape since I was a little kid, like 8 years old, working with my father,
Well,
cutting grass and things like that. I left, went to the Marine Corps. I took some courses through architectural engineering at Boston College through the Marine Corps, but I never stepped foot on Boston College. I got back, never thought I was going to do anything with architecture. I got back, started selling cars, got into grass cutting. One of my buddies was doing paver patios. And I went to his house one day and he had like the drafting table. And I was like, "Dude, you got one of those drafting tables?" He was like, "Yeah, that's how I come with the designs." I said, "Man, I know how to use this." And this is gonna sound funny, but he was like, "You don't know how to use this." And it was sort of like, "Man, brothers don't know how to draw." I'm like, "Come on, bro. I know how to draw. I know how
yeah,
to build."
yeah.
And so he
Let
put
me
some
prove it
paper
to
on
you.
there, and I draw like a house, I draw a patio. He was like, "Holy shit, you really know how to draw." And I'm like, "Dude, I told you I went to class, I took courses." And then
And you accidentally learn something.
that's how the career started. And it just sort of evolved. I went from drawing paver patios, doing a bunch of just the paver patios. I got out of paver patios. Then I started drawing outdoor living spaces, but I got the outdoor living spaces because I was studying a design concept from all over the world. So I started studying architecture, styles, homes. I was doing a lot of European studies on my own. Like at night, I'd be in my bed with my iPad, just looking at different ideas, different styles. And I was starting to see that outdoor living is not paver patios. And for some reason, we're still drawing paver patios, but that's not outdoor living. And so that's sort of where the evolution came.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point because, I've had my landscape design and build business in Scotland. And so that has influenced where I think our industry should be in the US. And it is more geared towards outdoor living as an industry, as opposed to patios, decks, pools, planting. It is more integrated over in Europe, or it has been for longer. But I think what we're seeing, appreciate your insight, is that the outdoor living as a concept is here. It's getting momentum, but it's still kind of new in the US market.
Yeah, even I don't even think it Google searches. I don't think you can Google search outdoor living. I don't think it rates anywhere. And then a lot of it too is if you do a Google photo search of outdoor living, I mean, my opinion, and this is my opinion, most of the photos aren't even outdoor living. I don't think America even understands what outdoor living is.
What does it mean to you?
It is, to me, it's an extension of the home, and it consists of three key element spaces: is kitchen, dining, lounge. Now, that doesn't necessarily need to be a kitchen, but cooking area, dining is sort of where you eat, and lounge consists of swimming pool, reading area, fire pit, those different zones. And then those zones need to be coordinated, sort of like a home is. I mean, the spacing, like I see a lot of patios where they'll have like a 40 feet by 20-foot patio. That doesn't mean anything, and it's a total waste of space. It doesn't have the right separation. There's not really a design format based on furniture layout, how much space you need. A lot of this stuff is it's not, and like I said, this is not me being like the hater, like I'm God and da da da. It's just I just think it's they're not paying attention to the home. I think like if you do any addition to your home, pick the home. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know for years a finished basement, if it didn't really have the same trim level as upstairs, it wouldn't really give value to the home. So I feel like the outdoor living should have somewhat of the same trim level from the house. And a lot of people don't really know what that means.
Well, one thing that I always love doing is seeing people's inside of their house to then understand what their style is that they've already, usually people have decorated their house. It's the first thing you do. And then 20 years later, you're looking at designing your outdoor space or spending money on developing your outdoor space. But seeing how people live on the inside of their house can help you, walk them through how they want to live outside. And I think your basement analogy is really powerful. It's like, okay, well, how do you live inside your house? What does your living room look like? Because your outdoor living room will have a style to it, and it should feel cozy or open depending on how you live
Yeah.
generally.
What I think happened to outdoor living, and like I said, these are my opinions, and these are my drunk days sitting in front of a fire pit getting drunk, making up my you're making up, no, hell no. It's been a while since I even had a drink. I mean, just making
Just
up
pick
stuff.
it.
Yeah, but anyway, what I think happened is if you think about it in the beginning, paver outdoor living was only you only really had a deck because there wasn't any air conditioning in your home. So you had decks to fill the breeze and wind outside. And a lot of time that was built by the builder or your neighbor friends. Everybody came together and did their thing. And then sometimes you may have some pavement to watch your garden. You mean your flower garden. And what I think is, when the pavers and all that stuff got in, the landscapers got into the business. And the landscapers were really good at designing flower beds, landscaping, and plants. And if you look at a lot of the patios, they have nothing to do with outdoor living and all to do with the shape of a flower bed. And so I think landscapers have got in and landscapers have turned it into flower beds and not outdoor living. That's my philosophy.
Great. Well, yeah, I think, yeah, maybe, I also think it's the flow of your spaces. So
You know,
do you ever get asked, Well, let's frame it for everybody. What are the size of projects that you work on? Like the range of, I mean, you can do it in value or
Well, okay, the average project, well, just in general, an average outdoor living space done correctly should start around 75K. So the average jobs that we do around 75 to 150,000. Now, granted, I mean, we have a project that's like 400,000. I have one that's 600,000. I even had one that was 800,000. I mean, it all depends on, a lot of those are new builds, higher end homes, and we're doing everything. I mean, we're just not doing the outdoor living space. We're doing the driveway, all the plantings, the grading, everything. I mean, there's a lot of work in those. And there's a lot that goes into that. I mean, it's pulling my hair out. You see my hair. I had some dead spots trying to get those done.
no.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But the average outdoor living should be around 75K. I mean, it should be looked at like the same way you look at your redoing your kitchen in your home, redoing your master bedrooms, and redoing your basement is the same way you should look at your outdoor living space. I mean, calling a paver patio contractor and just throwing a patio out there is such a devaluation of the home.
What you could realize and
Yeah,
how it could feel and how
yeah,
it could flow in the space. I totally agree. And I think what's interesting about a house is you usually have the shell first and then you fit the kitchen in. It's almost the opposite outside. You have unlimited space and you have to almost create the walls, and you have a lot of options. Like you have a million options of what you could do with an outdoor space. So it's almost harder because you don't have a preset size
yeah.
or windows or that layout. But it also means that you have infinite opportunity to create
Yeah, and
interesting
there's
spaces.
and there's and there's parameters that you should follow to get it right. Like I'll give a couple tips, like your fire pits. I see a lot. This is especially my neighbor. I live in like a middle priced home neighborhood. And I mean it's horrible. The amount of patios that I see where they design this huge patio and they put like this little 8 foot diameter circle at the corner of the patio at the edge of the yard that's like now it's sloped 3 feet off the ground and there's nowhere to put a fire pit. I mean, you put the fire pit on there, you can't even sit around it. Or you see the little small fire pit area where they put the seat wall around the fire pit. Matter of fact, if you studied anything of how usages of these spaces are. Nobody wants to sit on a seat while around a fire pit. Fire pit is actually where you spend the most time at. You sort of want to relax in an Adirondack chair. And so depending on the diameter of your fire pit, you mean 4 to 5 feet to fit chairs and spacing around that.
On the outside of the fire pit. Yeah.
Most designers don't know. They don't even really design with furniture. Like, I mean, one of the key elements of design is we place all the furniture and everything inside the design, and that's what determines the shape of the projects. I tell you, this happens a lot. I'll get a lot of people who will call you. They just met the paper patio guy before for us, and they'll say, "Hey, we want somewhere around 800 to 1,200 square feet on paper on their outdoor space." And when I'm done designing, it's like 450, 500, half the size. Just just ungodly amount of pavement and walls that just don't need to be there.
That's really interesting. I think that, sometimes you need, depending on the furniture that you pick, like in my space at home, I have outdoor sofas. They take up more space than just chairs. But you mentioned Adirondack chairs. Anything you choose is going to actually give you a different footprint.
Yes.
So, how can you actually know the size of the patio, which is exactly what you're saying, until you pick the furniture? Is that one of the first things that you talk to clients about is the
You have to be ready for outdoor living when you're doing business with us. Because the first thing you're going to get this beautifully well typed email. And at the bottom, it's a link to our questionnaire. And it's an 8 section questionnaire. It takes about 15 minutes to fill out. And it's in depth. It's your style, your lifestyle, how many kids. I even want to know the names of your dogs and how many dogs or cats that you have. I'm not joking. It's in there. I want to know how many children you have. We did have the names and age of the kids, and we stopped doing that. Actually, we want there is a question on what kids you have and their ages, but we don't ask names anymore. But we want to know your dog's names. We want to know how often you're going to use the space, what you're going to do. Is this forever home? If it's not, how long you've been there? Like there is some very in-depth questions, and it takes time to fill it out. And once we get that information, then we have a phone call conversation. We talk more in depth. We arrive at the home. I'm evaluating you. I'm evaluating your house. I'm evaluating your lifestyle. And I'm trying to figure out what you're going to do furniture wise, what you're going to do, what you're going to do when you're outside. You know what I mean? What can you see out of the windows? That's another mishap I see. Actually, I see this even on some high end designs where they'll have an area where they walk out the back door and they'll have the grill on the other side of the yard.
Yeah. And then will you ever use it?
No, or they'll have a wild one. This is I When we first got into the business, we were doing rendering for companies, and I quit. One day, I got a call, and the guy was like a 2,000 square foot pool deck, and they had the fire pit at the far end of the corner, like even off where half the fire pit was on the pool deck. So you mean to tell me, out of 2,000 square feet, you couldn't find a location for the fire
Better
pit?
locate.
We just finished a swimming pool project, and I want to say the total square footage was like 890
Okay.
total.
Yeah. Cozy.
It had everything. It had fire pit deck, had everything, pathway, walkways. It had everything, everything. Nothing. I don't think I've done a pool deck yet. That's 2,000 square feet. Yeah, I don't
That's
think
interesting.
the manufacturers don't like me. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like we use all Unilock products, but they won't give me an award. They will not advertise our work on their web pages. They won't do any of that. But yet we use a lot of their products because we use their products and a bunch of other products, and we don't buy a bunch of square footage. So,
Okay.
and I've gotten to some like little
But you're
battle.
not exclusively Unilock. Is that what you're saying?
We're not
Yeah.
exclusive Unilock. We just use a lot of it because it's Chicago based here. And I'm noticing that they don't really do well with me, even though we do some really neat stuff. But awards, like we had an award that we won in the ILCA here, a gold award. Matter of fact, it's like you kind of see it at the edge of my screen here. I'll move it over. But that's it. That's a gold award.
Oh,
We won
awesome.
that through,
Congratulations.
thank you, thank you. We won that through the ILCA here in Chicago, and that's a big deal. Okay, we submitted that same thing through the Unilock Awards and we got nothing, not even a runner up or nothing, because it's not using a bunch of their products. We have concrete, we have wood, we have all metal, we have all kind of stuff, and
Makes it
they
more
want to use.
interesting to
Yeah,
use different sizes of product, different textures. It's funny. So you were learning a bit about our event. We have an award that's called Wildly Synked because we want to see like something unique materials put together in unique ways. And, I've often said it doesn't matter what the quality of the paver patio, the pavers that you use, if you use too much of one type, it's going to look like a parking lot.
yeah.
You need interest. You need different, materials to make it more interesting. It's just
I
like
have a project. I have
inside a bathroom.
I have a project in Glenview going on right now, and it's like a $2 million home, and I have Holland Stone basic paper.
Okay.
The most basic entry level pavers that you can buy, going all the way back to the beginning of pavers when they first start selling them. Entry level pavers, and this is probably gonna be the hottest project in the market just because of the way it's laid out.
Exactly. I love that. Oh, we'll have to feature that one in an
Yeah,
upcoming issue. Let
yeah.
me know when you have photos of the finished project.
I will be bald by the end of this
Oh,
one. This job started February of 2023 is when the contract was signed. And we still don't have a plant in the ground.
goodness.
That's how long these jobs take.
And so you're managing the projects
Mhm,
with contractors is
mhm,
how you work.
mhm. Yeah, so this is a conjunction with this is a pretty neat project because this is how I really want to operate. Like if I had the dream of how VizX operates, we operate with the homeowner, with the architect and the builder, and we start from the beginning. And this house was a complete teardown. We worked with the interior designer, the homeowner, the builder, and the architect and our landscape architect. And we've all worked as a team
From the beginning.
from the beginning to this point now, and it's everything. I mean, there are
It is
so
all
many
detail.
hours, so much time just in planning. I mean, okay, remember I said February 2023. We just yesterday got the deck approved
My goodness.
through permitting. Like, and that's a party. Like, I stopped drinking much. Like, I'm not saying I didn't say I stopped drinking, but I don't do it much anymore. But yesterday was like worth a drink because we finally got the permit for the deck.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a
And
lot
so
of work.
you must, I mean, with projects like that, that's so hard to estimate a plan cost. Yeah, I guess you must be working on an hourly basis for those kind of
So,
projects.
these are where some of the mistakes were in our business. We did a lot of us contractors. We do everything based on like profit. So you have this line profit, and we changed our process to general conditions, and so now there's an hourly fee that we bill for all this other stuff. And this project had a certain amount of money in general conditions, and we completely blew that overboard. And so there's like a monthly billing process for a lot of this work and stuff like that. And it's honestly some of the ways I'm even looking at moving forward for most of the business is doing the hourly rate general conditions, get everything in, get everything started. They get awarded their project manager, and their coordinator works them through. And there's sort of a billing process to keep everybody going on that. And that's sort of how I see us moving forward in the future.
'Cause there are challenges with design and construction and yeah, charging for services that are upfront, like an architect does, like a lawyer does. We should have that capability, and it does take a really long time to move these through the stages of design, getting ready to construct.
It's a lot. It's just at this level, it's just a lot of work. It's a lot. And you get away from the design world of being a designer, and you have to become a business owner. And so I used to navigate myself as an outdoor living designer. I'm a business owner now, and I just happen to know how to design outdoor living spaces. Like I'm running a business.
And we spoke in preparation for this podcast about there's some things that, our industry does, as an industry, we're struggling to tell the value of this upfront work, the flow, the effort that needs to be built in order to come up with a great design. I think it's an industry-wide challenge. You brought up a great suggestion. Maybe talk us through that. Like, and it feeds into we understand what outdoor living is. And you talked about real estate when you're looking for a house on what's the
On the MLS. Oh, okay. So I know
MLS?
you're talking about. I was talking to a friend, and he was a former. Actually, he's a principal now, but he was a former real estate agent. And we were talking about outdoor living, and a lot of times when people don't understand outdoor living, and I tell them what I do, and they're like 150,000, like that's freaking crazy. Like, what are you guys doing in people's backyard? So most of the time, people think it's crazy. And then he was like, bro, he's like, there's no checkbox on the MLS for an outdoor living space. I sort of got quiet, like, damn, I mean, really? He's like, bro, there's no checkbox. And what I envision, and this is the confidence, I don't want to say arrogance, but the confidence of who I am, before I'm done, I want outdoor living to be just as important as these other spaces. And the way I envision it, when a client does business with us, when their house goes for sale, I want their photos to be in the MLS. Like I want that much pride of their outdoor living space to be in the MLS. Like, I mean, when the real estate agent comes over to take photos, they're taking photos, of the outdoor living space and backyard. Like, hey, we got to get the best angles of this so we can get this in MLS and get
Could
this
sell
house
the
sold.
house.
Yeah, actually, something like that happened last year, and it was a really big deal. I was working on like it was one of those things like, wow, life is working. I got a phone call from a real estate agent, and they were trying to sell this like $4.6 million condo downtown Chicago, penthouse, and they paid me. I'm not going to put the dollar amount, but they paid me a dollar amount just to draw the design and have it and then have it like completely rendered out to put into the MLS because they needed assistance on getting it sold. The property had sat for like a year and a half without selling it. The owner had already bought a new property. It was fully furnished and they was like, we just got to get rid of this thing and we're not willing to let the price down. But it was on the 26th floor and they had a roof deck. It was 1,800 square feet roof deck, and they needed some assistance to help it sell. And they called us up and paid us to draw a design for it. And it was one heck of a design. Like, I mean, it was crazy what we did up there. I mean, negative edge swimming pool when you're sitting in it, it actually looks like you're hanging off the building. I mean, it's insane. Yeah, it was
Scary.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just putting
But
green.
it gave people the vision that could be there.
Yeah,
Yes, they have to still construct it, but it could give, yeah, I could imagine. I mean, penthouse, Chicago, looking at the sunset while you're in your pool and
yeah. I mean,
um,
we were like a 1.3, $1.5 million construction cost just to pull it off. And I mean, there was a ton of money just in logistics on getting a crane to go 32 floors high. I mean, yeah, I think it was like either 32 or 36 floors high. No, I'm sorry. This building was 26 floors high. I have a project in Philly that's 32 floors high. We're doing a heated pavement on that in Philly.
awesome. Okay. So you work all over?
All over the United States.
Fantastic. And then you must have to go and see all the properties to be able to design.
You see my
Yeah.
eyes
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I was I'm hurting right now because I have a client in Wisconsin and I've been just so busy that I haven't really been checking anything. And when I think of Wisconsin, most of the time where we are located here in Illinois, it's about a hour and a half to 2 hours to get there. Well, day before I didn't check. So yesterday morning, as I'm about to do this trip, I checked and it was a 4 hour drive. Yeah.
Like,
And what made it even hot is I'm a pilot. So I could have just gone to the airport, hopped in a plane and flown up there. And I was like, no, I was like, not today. And yesterday was a beautiful day to fly. Other than coming back, there was some thunderstorms. So that would have been a horrible, horrible. I would have had to stay up there if like I'm
so
not
you
flying.
did it all in one day.
So I drove 4 hours up. I met with them. I spent 3.5, 4 hours on a detailed site analysis because they have 30 some acres. So I use LiDAR technology, which is really neat. So I get 3D images, I get all my elevations. I have a consultation with them, and then I had to drive 4 hours back. So I'm hurting right now. I mean, and I'm a
We could
4
have
a.m. guy.
rescheduled this if you needed.
I'm a 4 a.m. guy, so I wake up at 4:30 a.m. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
yeah,
Man, okay. Well,
yeah.
let's see one of the things that we talked about, and you might be at our next event where, I would love for you to be involved, is what are your thoughts for the future of our industry? I love how you were talking about, the latest project, that it was kind of the ideal situation. So that's one thing, that landscape architecture is involved from the start of projects. I think that's a real key message for the industry and for other parts of, for the construction industry and the architecture part, like if you are building a new house and property, the landscaping doesn't come, or the hardscaping, the design needs to be done at the start.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point. Are there other nuggets that we need to embrace as an industry?
There's a lot to this, and I gotta see if I can remember it. I may have to write it down and make it a speech. Okay, but let's start. Let's start one. We have to stop letting the manufacturer control the business. One of the biggest problems we have is we have manufacturers who create the material. We have them controlling our industry, and we should not do that. And I'm not saying they make great products, beautiful. I mean, walls and pavers and all that, but they should not determine what goes in the backyard. I mean, they're just a suggestion on what to use. So the problem is we have the manufacturers, they're training the contractors. That's problem number one. Number two is when you build a home, hire an architect. Architect draws everything up, creates details, and then you bring in project managers, construction companies, and build. Outdoor living is contractor controlled. Homeowners call contractors. Contractors, hey, say, what do you want done? We'll do it, and they do amazing work, but it's all based on what the client wants done. So, like, there's a lot of times, like, we have Facebook pages and these contractors will post their work, beautiful craftsmanship, but what they did in their backyard is just horrible. So, I had to learn not to comment because I sound elitist and they'll start cussing me out. So, I stay away from it. So, that's another thing. So, what that says is we got to have contractor education and we got to have homeowner education. So it's almost unilateral. We got to have side by side education, and this stuff needs to be designed first because we'll never gain value. That's a problem that we're having. We're not gaining any value. I mean, it's 2025 and outdoor living still does not have value. And the cost of the home, the price and everything. And we're doing it to ourselves. It's not the homeowners.
We're
We
doing
are
it
doing it.
within the industry.
We're doing it ourselves. This business, you can get a wheelbarrow and a pickup. That's how I got started. I mean, we had a pickup truck. Matter of fact, the first paver patio job, I had a wheelbarrow delivered with the pavers, and that was my first wheelbarrow. And clients thought I was just getting a new wheelbarrow. That was the wheelbarrow. Yeah, that's his business.
I agree with you that it's important that we understand what every manufacturer has to offer. And design is not just a few squares and rectangles. It has to feel like it in the space. It's part of the land. It's slope. As if the land slopes, your outdoor space fits into that. And I feel like we need to know that there's a million options for every outdoor space.
Yeah, you got to be well rounded. Like last year, this is really interesting. It's going to sound simple, but it was interesting. Our designer, we were doing something. We were in the middle of a job and we were measuring something. And my wife and I, we work together. We're partners in the business. And my wife sent me a text, said, "Hey, can you go to Giamia and pick me up a salad?" And I said, "Yeah, no problem." So I had my designer with me and I took her out and there was like a bar. We sat outside the bar. We didn't get any drinks. We were working, but we just sat outside the bar and we were waiting for the order. And so we were sipping on water, hanging out, and it was just sitting out at the bar. The music is playing, people are talking, the sun's out. And I looked over at her. I said, "When's the last time you've ever?" I said, "When's the last time you done something like this?" And you know what she said to me? She looks at me. She said, "Never." And it hit me. I'm like, so how the hell are you designing outdoor living spaces if this is not what you do? Like, cause I do it all the time. I am the epitome of outdoor living. I live outside. As soon as I get home from work, I'm a cigar guy. So I hang out, smoke cigars. Matter of fact, the cigar lounge that I hang out at, I've drawn outdoor living spaces for all of them, and I'm trying to figure out ways to get it funded, to get it paid for, because they're looking at me like, dude, we're not about to spend $300,000 on this cigar lounge. But I'm like, man, we guys got to get it done. So now we have like a little front space, and like everybody's always on the inside. And as soon as I show up, we're all outside talking, laughing, music is going. I'm an
Yeah.
outdoor guy. It
Yeah.
is what it is. I literally sit outside every day, every day, every day. As soon as I get home, like even today, I'm gonna get home today probably around 7 o'clock, and I'm gonna sit outside to midnight. Now I'm gonna drink today. I've earned
Well, sounds like you deserve it,
I,
huh?
I earned my sip of vodka today.
Oh man, Duane, this has been so much fun. I think, yeah, we're going to have to cut this episode, soon. And looks like we're going to have a series of episodes. I
Yeah.
think that, we've unpacked a lot of issues today and, you know, I want to keep going, but
I have to
it's
say, you
best if,
gave me a lot of fire. Like, this is no joke. Literally, talking to you last week, I wasn't having a bad week, but I was just tired, and I'm still sort of trying to navigate my way through the industry, saying, am I still in love with it? Do I still like it? I mean, because piloting is a passion too. And so I've been really looking at the aviation industry as like, like I do some brokering right now. Like I broker private, you mean not
like,
but private flights. I
okay.
do their brokering. And I've been looking at aviation like, man, like, and even my cousin, he's my business consulting. And he said, Duane, you got 20 something years in this. He said, do you really love it? And I said, let me tell you something. I love what I do. I don't like the industry, but I like what I do. And that's why you don't really see me at a lot of the landscape events, a lot of that stuff, because I just love I love designing and building outdoor living spaces. I love working with all the different materials. I love it. Like it just excites me more than anything else. But I don't know if I like the industry. Why don't even
Well,
when we can go to a new home right now and it will all be about walking through this home, looking at the kitchen, looking at the closet, looking at all these beautiful things, and then you look out the window in the back door and it's a concrete slab. And I'm like, man, like why can't we get past this?
okay. Yeah. You said, but I don't love this industry. I'm like, deflated a bit.
Yeah.
But I think that I built this presentation. I gave it, I think it was last fall. And I'm trying to explain how we don't actually have our own industry. When I looked at, and the way I did this is I think it's the NACIS codes. So it's a government code
Yeah.
of
It's
all the
not even in there.
industries. We don't have an industry in there, but I found 12 codes that all we're part of 12 different industries.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, no wonder nobody know, like I say landscape industry and a lot of people go, oh no, we're in the hardscape industry. And I'm like, no, it's the same thing. Like, so, we don't have our own, you can't put your arms around our industry right now because landscape architects are in architecture and engineering. Construction are in the construction industry. Horticulture is in sciences, environmental sciences, maybe. And I might be getting these somewhat wrong.
Oh wow, you actually just educated me on something because I've never known what to check the box on. Sometimes
Yeah.
I use professional services or something like that because I
Well,
don't know what
professional services, but that could be,
anything.
management consultants. But I think professional services, that is where we are too, but a lot of maintenance companies consider themselves like facility services. But then there's some, real estate. We've talked about real estate, like we're actually a small part of a lot of different industries. We don't have our own industry, so to speak. I can't tell you how many times I've said, I want to interview you. We have a publication for the landscape industry. And they go, oh no, we only do hardscaping, or we only do pools, or we only do decking, or I'm a landscape architect. I'm not in the landscape industry. So I think even the
Fair.
word landscape industry divides our industry. So we don't really, we're not physically connected in any way right now.
I'll give you one. I do a lot of networking, and I network with some really powerful groups. I mean, and there's not one group, not one, that I tell them what we do. We're outdoor living design firm, and everybody asks, "What's that?" Home builders, architects, landscape architects, the landscape group, home real estate groups, chambers, local chambers. Everybody asks, "What's that?"
But we have a
I'm sort of
long
looking at
road.
them like, you don't get it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, did I just, and now I'm like, did I just make all this up?
No,
So
he
now I feel
didn't.
like I just made it up. Yeah, I made it my own industry. I hang out my own industry.
Well, it is an amazing industry in so many ways. And I think what we at SYNKD want to do is become the glue
Yeah,
that holds us all together.
you're doing it. You got me excited. Like I said, I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
deflated. Maybe it takes somebody from Europe to come in here and say, "Hey, this is how it needs to be done," because this is what we're doing over there. I was doing a lot of work in California, working with the guy from Yard Crashers, and San Francisco. They get it. They get it. It is just as important as their home, the materials, the furniture. It is important. They get it. They get it.
So we just have to expand. We just have to keep fighting the good fight and getting the word out. And we started doing that today. So this is yeah, our live recording. I think we'll make this into an article and yeah, maybe feature some of your jobs. So I think this will get the word out and yeah, appreciate you jumping on, especially when you've had a busy week. And thank you. But it leads up to your celebration tonight. So
Yeah.
have a great celebration tonight. Sounds like you deserve it. Yeah, look forward to having you on again, Duane.
Yeah. Thanks for
Thanks for
having me.
joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, see you next time.